say when there are no words. Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing Project Cars 2 PC GT3 Elite League. Round number 2, Season 9, here at Dubai International. My name is King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box is the man, the legend himself, Mr. Fizzy!
Hello, KK, hello everyone watching. It's a pleasure to be back once again for another GT3 Elite race here on the PC platform. It's another interesting track after the season opener last week, of course, at Kota, which threw up a lot of action for us, and Dubai, a shorter version compared to the normal full layout of Dubai, should hopefully throw up some more good racing again.
Indeed, indeed. I'm glad you said that, because the map I've actually got loaded up for myself is the longer version, so I'm actually quite glad you mentioned that particular point. I'll correct that for myself whilst we are waiting for the last of our drivers to hop on in. Hopefully we won't have any particular trouble, as unfortunately a couple of our drivers have had a few technical problems to deal with. So whilst we're waiting...
Interestingly, it seems like you're not the only one who has forgotten the layout, because judging from the lobby chat, a few other drivers might have practiced on the wrong one as well.
Oh, terrific! Yeah, so we can expect people to basically charge off the track at where turn 1 basically ends. So whilst we are waiting for, we're actually loading into server at the moment, let's just have a quick look at the top of our championship. Jardier with an impressive performance last week with the win. Popsu 2, Leon 3, Tishny 4, Vernux our current champion in 5th position, with Fab Iceman 6th, Adalexa 7, Murphy 8, Typek 9, and Zal rounding out the top 10 of our drivers. And if we quickly switch to our team championship, as well as, like I said, we are loading in. As you can hear on the stream, we have the virtual drivers by TX3, that's Popsu and Typek, currently at the top, but only just ahead of Jardier and Mr. Van Ommen for the Actrolovision Community Racing. I love that version of ACR. And the Scandinavians in 3. Look at the top 3, just 5 points separating the top 3 of the championship. And GTA Racing 4, which is Disney, TNR, Top Notch Racing, which is Vernox and Yorkie in 5th, Promising Horse 6th, Nonchalant 7, Flying Fins 8, Team Graceby 9, and BMW UK, which is Andrex on his lonesome at the bottom of the field. And we have now got our qualifying session underway. We are looking at ACR Jardier heading out on track as he begins his run. We have got, as you can see as I'm scrolling down the list, 27 drivers with us this evening. So again, a decent outlook for an action-packed race.
Yeah, indeed, 27 drivers, and you only show the top 10 in the championship, of course, but we do have 32 drivers in this league. There were 29 on the grid last week, and it seems to be 27 today. So again, a few drivers missing, but a lot of drivers present to provide us with a lot of action. Currently watching the man who won the first race of the season quite dominantly over everyone apart from one. Popsu was the only one who could pretty much keep up with his pace, only finished a few seconds behind, but Jardier off to a perfect start of the season, and now I guess we'll have to see if he can take a second consecutive pole at Dubai.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm just double checking if we have any other messages. No, not at the present time. So let us see who we can find there. So as mentioned, Jardier, our current championship leader, just coming through. He's coming through that banked turn. It always seems to last longer than you might think. He's taking it very slowly. Here we have Popsu just coming across the line. A string of Ferraris coming across the line as well. So he'll just be starting his time lap. Streaming on down to turn 1. Steady. You feel the car get a little bit twitchy, despite the fact it looks from that camera angle like it's actually banked. It's actually almost off camber, that first turn 1. So now heading into turn 3. Nice and steady. Don't get too greedy, because you're very quickly into turn 4, and this is where the GP track rejoins the international track. Now the long straight down to turn 5. which lasts quite a very long time. As you can see, look at that. We've got 5 cars in that particular street. Now, very, very heavy braking zone into turn 6. Almost 180 degree right-hander now. Straight away, get as far across to the right as you can for 7. Again, if you get too greedy, you're wandering off because it is a really awkward kind of not quite straight here for turn 8. Very slow corner there. Oh, you just saw the tail of Popsy get very, very twitchy there. Near non-existent 9 and fairly flat out left kink of 10, as you can see there. And now you've got, again, a very heavy braking zone into, again, a beyond 180 degree, never-ending left-hander. Oops, Popsy getting a bit greedy on the gas there. Now switches over to the right. Oh, and again, you just see the tail of Popsy just does not want to stick. And then again, this slightly tightening last turn, which will catch a number of drivers out. And Popsy is going to set a time of the ball. We actually have Zal, who's put the first time of the ball, 1:35.3, and no time for Popsy. That's interesting.
That's been about later then.
Yeah.
But we try to find.
We now have.
I missed. There we go. He should be coming towards the end of the lap as well. Yeah, just rounding the final corner. Last week's pole sitter. What will his first flying lap of this session be? And it's provisional pole again by half a second.
Wow.
134.4 ahead of Murphy, who in Virginetta, who
yes,
second spot. Only 3 tenths behind actually, and then Van Ommen up to 3rd, and Zal, we saw made the first time. He is currently in 4th.
Now, rumour has it the BMW is going to be a little bit more suited. We saw the BMW struggle last week at Circuit of the Americas. Rumour has it they're going to be a bit more suited to this type of track. There's only there's 2 major straights. The start-finish straight at, as you can see, Leon. Oh, he's going to be caught out by one of the Nissans just coming up behind him. So I think Leon was taking a wider line into that turn 11 to start his lap. One of the screaming Nissans behind him.
We can actually just go on board with him for a bit. Let's see if we can find a better camera. There we go. Let's ride on board with the bonnet of Leon the Sigmund, who finished on the podium last time in his debut race.
He did.
Now we can get to see how he navigates a lap of this Dubai circuit.
So into the braking zone of 3, staying again very close to the left-hand side for that switch back for 4. Then the second long straight of the lap. He's got one of the Z4s directly ahead of him. So you're not able to tell who that is. And then you're going to have a very heavy braking zone, as previously mentioned, into turn 5. How Leon's actually gone for an early apex there, which makes sense, as that means he was easier then to cut to the right. There's no real straight between 5 and 6. Taking that rather nicely. Now starting to come back uphill, back over to the left for 7. Very heavy braking zone yet again. Just catches the apex. I think it unsettled the car a little bit. It didn't look quite as smooth through there as he probably would have liked. Now coming down through the non-existent turn 8, as he's then going to come into the never-ending turn of turn 9. This turn 9 always feels like it goes on longer than it should, and it's going. I would suspect it's going to catch a couple of people out as well. Now into the right-hander of 10. That Z4 I think is going to be far enough ahead to not cause Leon any problems. And there's a couple of ways of taking this particular turn. You either go for a later apex to try and get a bigger exit speed, but as Leon's near the end of the lap, he's gone for an earlier apex, and that puts him 5th with a 1:34.8, just 1/100th of a second behind the GTA. I've forgotten who that's. Is that Tidgney that's in 4th?
Tidgney, yeah. Indeed it is. So Tidgney up to 4th, and he also finished the first race in 4th actually. So far similar drivers towards the front, apart from Popsy of course, who still hasn't set a representative lap down there in 24th at the moment. Currently watching Iceman, who finished the first race in 6th place. He is at the back of quite a train now, probably going to get held up there by that BMW. It's not really helpful, not sure who that is, but yeah, that's definitely not going to make it certainly easier to see where to turn in for the corners, and he might even feel like going for an overtake here, and he does indeed.
Yeah, the M6 backs off there. You're in a slightly awkward position if you've got 2 drivers that are on hot laps. It is always the imperative of the car in front not to hold up the one behind, but if you're both on hot laps, neither driver are really forced to kind of give way to the other. It's kind of down to driver discretion. They've got time on the board still, just shy of 8 minutes to go, so there's no point fighting. The M6 did the wise thing. You could see the Ferrari was bearing down on him and got out of the way. Hopefully he didn't lose a great deal of time, as 5 Iceman is coming up to one of the Audis now. So around the final corner, what time does Iceman get on the board? Pole time still being held by Jardier, 1:34.2. And
at the moment.
didn't see a time by Iceman. There is our pole man in that Tiger Ferrari. Still going interestingly, so looking to try and still shave some time off of his current pole. Not anything on there at the moment. Rick in the...
but he's jumped to the second though.
He has.
At the moment, which is impressive.
Could he actually divide the Ferraris of the top 3 of our championship are all Ferrari runners? Does not mean, this man being one of the top 3, does not mean that that's going to stay that way. At the moment, it's Ferrari, Lamborghini and Ginetta. So, Popsy currently 4th, 1:34.7, just half a second down from Jardier, but we'll see if he's able to improve on this particular run through that tiny kink of turn 8. It's a little bit too easy to wander, a little bit too wide to try and cut, try and get too much of an entrance into turn 9. Took quite a lot of apex there. You run the risk of unsettling the car at a point where you want to floor it, and you will spin if that is the case. Round turn 11. Again, he's gone for that real early apex to try and get onto the gas as soon as possible, which makes sense in qualifying, and he does not improve for 4th.
He improves his time, but not his position there. It was a very marginal improvement, 34.7 still. And worth pointing out that Yorkie, who missed the first race, he's back racing in the league for another season. The experienced veteran, of course, who knows all of the ins and outs of this podcast game. I'm not sure if he's affected by the timing issue or if he's actually not set a lap, but he's coming towards the line now, so let's have a look if we actually will see a time from him on the board. At the moment, no, I think he might be affected by the timing issue actually, because you remember at the start it was 27 drivers and now it's 28, so Yorkie probably joined them.
I think Yorkie was a little bit late to the party, so sadly we will have to kind of guess on what his position is. In a GT3 race is a little bit easier than for instance an endurance race where not all the drivers are necessarily on the same lap. So Yorkie then will continue on his merry way. We'll know what position he is in when the race starts, as the grid is formed correctly. It is just a timing bug for the viewer, as Tidney has got the pole time, 1:34.0. 1.5 tenths separates him and Jardier.
Indeed, so very impressive from Tidney there, and very close as well. Obviously, we hope, we do hope that there'll be a few more drivers able to get close to the pace of Jardier last week, because there was a crazy gap back from the Popsy as Kota. Obviously, this is a shorter circuit as well than Kota, probably a less tricky one, I would say. Although it's a very hot track here today, and the temperatures might be more of an issue than the track itself, as you saw Tidney get a little bit loose and nearly off the track there as well, in the middle of the lap. But looking good for him in that Audi at the moment.
Indeed. So the weather is due to be bone dry and burning hot. It would look a little bit strange trying to run rain in the desert. Our current 3rd place man in the Rainbow Lamborghini is coming up to, I didn't see, it's another one of the Lambos he's catching up to, I believe. I think that's actually Jardier directly behind. Oops! Nesterowicz in the black Audi, currently 9th.
Slowing down, I think.
Yeah, trying to give himself a bit of space. 1:35.0 for the black Audi. There is our current champion, Vernux. He is in 9th position. No, he's not. He's 11th position, beg your pardon, with that 1:35.4. Does he improve this time around? He does not. Jardier and Murphy both in the pits. Not a great deal of time left to... Oh, just saying that. I've just seen the Ginetta actually leave his pit box, coming out for one final run. I would imagine that's pretty much everybody on track at the moment. In fact, there's only 3... Oh, yes. That's not going to help. That would be a big... Oh, Zausman. Yeah, good spot. Yeah, he's actually down to 16th then. So that is... He's running out of time. He's got time, though, for certainly 1 lap. He's not going to have enough time for 2 because he's not going to get back to the line quick enough to... Oh, no, I beg your pardon. He'll be able to complete 1 and start the second one. So he will get time for 2 flying laps. 1:33.9 now on the board is Tidney again. So he's improved his time further still and still going. So the Audi is having a great run here.
Yeah, I did see Tidney though in the pits not many seconds ago, so I think he's just reset for 1 final run on fresh tires there. So, yeah, might still go faster. Be interested to see what Jardier can do. I'm just going to stay with Vernux until the end of this lap. He's dropping down the order as people are setting times now down to 13th. place after finishing the season opener in 5th, of course, trying to defend that impressive championship he got in season 8. He's only got a couple of corners now to go on this lap that could be crucial. He really needs a higher position at 13th, I would say, if he wants to be in the fight for the top positions in this race. Here we go, round the final corner in the BMW M6, and it will be.
He remains in 13th. So, I mean, this could be his time lap. He does have, if he has the fuel for it, he has the time for 2 time laps with 2 minutes on the clock remaining. Jardier now in 2nd with that 34.2 he set actually quite a while ago. So, by the way he's pushing, I would suspect he's on a time lap at the moment. He's now coming through turn 6, heading up to again, another heavy braking zone for turn 7. As I previously mentioned, now just let it wander a little bit wide. On the gas end, can stay relatively straight. You don't need to throw it too much to get the apex for turn 8. And now just touches the green. We've seen a few people run a bit wider on the green stuff than that. It's Jardier now on board with him, coming through turn 10. You mustn't be too greedy on the gas there, because the car will not hold. And Leon has actually gone up to 3rd, 134.5. Just seen on the timing board as well. Does Jardier improve? And he's going to cross the line now, and he remains in 2nd. But we will see. 1 minute left on the board. He has got time to do something about it.
1 lap to go for him in this session. So Leon is back in the pits actually, so he will start no higher than 3rd, but still a very impressive position. He can stay there. Rick in that Lamborghini.
4th position.
Still have a little loving for the Lamborghini. Try to make it not too apparent, but Lamborghini up in 4th at the moment, which is very interesting considering Rick actually finished the season opener in 27th place, a lap down after a few problems there, and he qualified in.
I don't have the qualifying actually for last week.
Nope. Can you see him on the qualifying? So maybe that didn't qualify. Let's make it even more.
Now, Rick actually went for a very wide entrance into 9, whether he outbraked himself coming into it, but that is again another pretty valid tactic to get a decent drive away from 9. But it's risky because again, it's very little straight between 9 and 10, and you can't take 10 flat. So the checkered flag comes out now. So anyone, there's actually Ferrari coming out of the pits. There's Murphy, and he did cross the line in time, so he is on a time lap. So Sol, and he's in. Yeah, he is indeed in 3rd. As now, unfortunately, the timing board starts to go a bit goes a little bit cuckoo, unfortunately for us. So anyone that crosses the line now gets jumped to the bottom of the board for some odd reason. So we won't know where people are, sadly, until we get final confirmation. Popsy's now across the line. His day is done. He was in 4th or 5th, I believe, around about that.
He stayed in 6th place. Let's see.
Mr. Van Orman. He's just gone through turn 8 then, so he opted to go for a little bit of a wider entrance into 9. Keeps it right in the middle to try and cut back in, which he does. Stays off of the... Andreas gets himself a time penalty. Oh, that's a shame. He's in 20th, unfortunately, so hasn't been a great day for him. But the field is pretty closely compact, actually top to bottom. Yeah. So, Van Orman ran a little bit wide there. That could be dangerous, but he actually... 3rd position!
Ooh, wow!
What a finish then by the Targa Ferrari. Mr. Van Orman absolutely cracking. Leon did indeed come out for another one. He's currently 5th. He's only half a second down from pole, so it's very tight at the top. Murphy chose not to finish his lap in 4th, 135.07. Only, what is that? That's not even 300ths of a second that separates Leon and Murphy, 5th to 4th. So, and 2 Desert Pack is already back in the...
Oh, that's an interesting line.
That's...
Not sure that's going to work.
Yeah, I think you hit the brakes a tad early on that one, Leon.
I think he's very eager to get to wherever he's going. It seems to be into the braking board.
And, okay, that's... And kill the cameraman whilst he's at it. Okay, he's trying to hit absolutely everything. Well, if it provides a bit of on-track entertainment before the lap starts. And that's the ball. Well... I mean, bonus points for style then. So, Tidgney was indeed the pole man with a 139.9, the only person to break 134. Jarrier was 2nd, Van Orman 3rd. What a stunning lap right at the end there for Mr. Van Orman. Murphy 4th in the Janessa, Leon 5, Rick 6th, Popsu 7, Nesterowicz 8, Zal 9, 2 Desert Pack rounds out the top 10. And that is only separated. It's only a second that separates the top 10.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Quite a bit closer than last week, I think.
Yeah.
As you'd expect. Really as well. Reigning champion Bernix down in 13th place. Be an interesting race for him. Ed Andrex down in 20th, but we know him. He usually makes up places in the race compared to where he qualifies.
Now, where's Yorkie? He's actually in 23rd, so that's where his qualifying position finished him. So he was the only one, I believe, stuck in the timing bug, which makes our life easier the less of them there are.
Very true. So, yeah, what can we even say? I mean, it's I mentioned the temperatures already. It's a very, very hot track. It's the middle of the day and it's clear weather, so the sun is heating that surface up, and because of that, it should be everyone using the hard tires that work better in the hot conditions. And those hard tires should easily go to the end as well. But I think what the tire or the temperature could be more of a problem with is the engine temperatures, because according to some inside information from Yorkie himself, the engine, well, some cars at least might struggle with engine temps becoming too high and potential overheating happening. And the same with the tires as well. They could start overheating the tires if they're not too careful. So these are definitely things that the drivers will have to keep an eye on and manage throughout the race, and could affect pace at various stages and make things a little bit more interesting.
So for those unfamiliar with the format, this 2-minute session we have before we get underway is just for drivers to make any last-minute setup changes to switch to their race setup, because they would not be able to do a whole race on their qualifying setup for, if nothing else, fuel alone. So any last-minute tweaks they want to make, now is the opportunity they have to do it. And once everybody has readied up, or when the 2 minutes elapse, we then head down to the actual start of the race. Now it is not a standing start, and there it is. That's where the 2 minutes has elapsed. The 5 lights will go, and everybody will remain still. We will have a rolling start. It's a manual rolling start, as all AOR leagues are done. So Tidney will lead the field away after about 5 seconds. There he goes. So at 80 miles an hour, about 120 kilometers an hour, he will lead the field away. You see all 28 cars will now start to roll. Doc in the BMW. The back of the field is I think it's the lone Porsche. I think it's Tex Whitty is the only Porsche in today's field.
I believe so. I think there's 2 Porsches registered in the league.
Indeed. A couple of Nissans, as directly ahead of Dominic.
Didn't have that last season.
Yeah, and a couple of Z4s as well, as we remarked last time. They've a little bit further down the field, but they are there. It's good to see, as Fizzy mentioned, good to see other cars represented that we didn't necessarily see.
Yes, and not only Ferraris, obviously. There's been a lot of talk of the Ferrari being a little bit too good and whatnot, but of course, you know, everyone has had the same options for what cars to pick, and although Ferrari is the most picked cars, or the most picked car, it only has, I say only, it's still quite a lot, but only 10 of them on the grid. So
I think it's very closely followed by the Audis, I believe.
Yeah, it's
decent.
like 7 Audis.
I think it's 7 or 8 Audis. Yeah, it's and I think about 4. I think it is Lamborghinis, 6 M6s if I remember off the top of my head. But at the end of the day, the pole man is an Audi this time. Let's not forget that. And beating Jardier, last week's dominant race winner, is going to be no mean feat. So coming along this kind of straight, I think it's shortly after turn 8 is the formation point where all of our drivers, and you can see the Audi's already slowed down. So we're just hitting the formation point now, where the 2x2 line is going to be reformed. It is rolling at 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. And this will continue until we go back onto the start-finish straight, which it's sometimes rather awkward to maintain, particularly an outside corner maneuver at this kind of speed, because your kind of natural instinct is to floor it. But of course you can't do that. Vernex, our current champion, down in 13th. Not a good effort for him. On board with Desert 2-Pack, one of our new entrants into this league. So once we get onto the start-finish straight, it is up to our poleman, Tidney, to... Wow, that looks actually quite a bit slower than it should be, but of course you don't want to hit the guy in front. So it's up to Tidney then. When he gets onto the start finish straight, he can floor it, and when he does, that signifies the beginning of the race. You You may not overtake the person in front of you, but you may overtake the person next to you. And we are racing here at Dubai.
And all the GT3 cars storming down to the first corner is a good start for Tintin, and Jardier has reacted well as well to keep hold of second place. Murphy in third. Ginetta looking to the inside, getting very close. A tiny bit of bumping there actually with Jardier, but both of them getting away with it. Van Omen in fourth place out of the corner, and then followed by Leon, also keeping his starting place. Same with Rick in the Lamborghini, very much under pressure from Popsu as well. So I think it's been all clean at the front. There's a few changes of position towards the back of the field, but so far so good.
Decent run by Murphy to get that third position. Look at that, Rick is putting a lot of pressure on Leon then for that fifth position. He's gone for the outside. The Ferrari defending the inside now. Who's going to win out on this one? You see cars going 3 wide.
Always wide.
He's gone for a wider line, but he's now going to have the inside line for turn 6. He had to keep Popsu at bay. He was more looking at the Ferrari behind as opposed to the Ferrari ahead, and Rick remains in his position. Fat Iceman there in 13th. You've got MTZ in. Oh, he's going to be 3 wide. That could be getting a little bit. There's a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment there, especially if you're the one in the middle. But MTZ hanging on to that in the Audi. He's got that's Relo in the red Ferrari to his right, and Rita had a really good exit from that turn 7, back up to the front. Tisney still keeping Jardier at bay, and you should look at the gap between Murphy and Van Omen. That's nearly a second already that's built up from the top 3. Oh, that's Murphy getting very, very racy on that Ferrari. Oh, steady on Murphy, keep it on the black stuff. Now it's going to be, all the pressure is going to be on Tisney. He's going to have the slipstream of 2 cars bearing up behind him, one of which is our championship leader. Is Jardier going to throw on the inside? He's gaining, but not very quickly. And you can see how much of a wider line that Audi wanted to take by taking a pretty decent handful, legal amount, I should add, of the green astroturf on the outside. Murphy didn't have a good run, though, through that turn 1. He's lost a bit of time there.
Yes, indeed. But as you said, top 3 trying to streak away a little bit. It's probably in their own benefit that they don't battle too hard at this moment and try to build an early gap, which very much might not be caught by the end of the race. That was the case with the top 2 last week. Oh, look at that. Chichi actually feeling the need to go defensive a little bit. Johnny trying to look underneath. There wasn't much space there on the apex. Chichi keeps hold of the position for now, but Jardier actually ignoring what I just said and looking very racy, wanting to get into that first place early.
Indeed, a switch back there is not really going to be too successful unless the guy you're trying to just do the switch back on makes a terrible mistake. There's just not enough space between 5 and 6 to make it work effectively. But what Jardier is going to be wanting to do is put the pressure on to force the mistake. He does not want to let that Audi get away too far. Oh, and again, that Audi just didn't seem to want to slow down too well. Jardier getting a nice inside line on that turn 9. Now on board with our chasing Ferrari. Again, Murphy's only half a second back, so Jardier can't just ignore what is behind him. As they now come around turn 11, then he's trying to get a decent drive, a better drive. Oh, now the Audi's had a really good drive out of there, and look at that. Look at the 2 Ferraris behind Murphy. That is Van Omen and Leon, rather, the sick one. They are beginning to close back in on the top 3. So whilst they've tried to break away, of course, them battling has slowed them down again. So the grid is essentially reforming. There's not massive gaps between anybody that I can see so far.
No, it seems pretty close throughout the field. Shout out to Andrex, I would say, who's up to 15th from 20th.
Good start.
There's a battle going on behind. Hardway making a move on MTZ there. Now in that all Audi battle for a 16th place at the moment. Obviously worth reminding everyone that points are scored all the way down to 20th place in this league this season. So all of these positions are worth fighting for. Hardway getting all out of shape through the fast chicane there, and then dropping that position back immediately. And now under pressure from Noah in one of the 2 Z4s. Might even be 3 wide as that is Tapek. Looking up the inside, and it is going to be 3-1 into the heavy braking zone. Hardware in the middle, not run into the other Audi there, and it looks like Tapex has pulled up a beautiful double overtake for a 17th place.
That would have made a lot of people very, very nervous going 3 wide there. There is indeed, oh my god, Typek is on a roll then, and Tisney's made a mistake, I think, because he's 7/10s down already. Jardier is indeed now in the lead. I think he would have taken that probably at turn 5. He just seemed to be applying so much pressure to the Audi. That's why I suspect he's made the move stick. And actually Murphy has lost a bit of time on the Audi as well. That's a second, separating second and third. He's got Van Omen on his case as well. So Looks like Van Olmen has managed to drop Leon a little bit, so they're beginning to space out a bit, but a long, long way to go.
Yeah, 1 hour of racing, of course. We're only 8 minutes in. A lot can and will happen in this race still. Interesting to see though if Tijni actually does have the race pace to keep up with Jardia, who was so dominant last week. Already very impressive from Tijni, of course, to take that pole position, which gives him that 1 bonus point as well for the championship. But now Jardia will be looking to fill the gap, and let's just wait and see if he can do so, as the field is slowly but surely coming down into the heavy braking zone for turn 5, I believe it was. That is 2 cars close together. 2 Desert back under pressure from the reigning champion Vernex in the Audi there, trying to make us no, sorry, that is Vernex behind us. My bad. 2 Desert back is the one trying to put the pressure on Iceman. Actually, has also gained a few positions of where he started, and he might gain another one here on Nesterovic, who is getting a poor exit out of that corner onto the straight. It's the curved braking zone. They're coming up to here. It's with the wheel banging as well in the braking zone, and I think the Nesterovic has defended that very well. Iceman just being forced a little bit too wide to make them work through the long left-hander. That's another interesting battle to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Iceman went for, because of that nudge that he had with Nesterovic, I think he went for that wider apex. Oh my goodness me, 2 Tesla back. I think there was a tap there from the Audi. I don't think he anticipated quite how Iceman was going to take that apex. I think a bit of a tap on the rear wing. It looked like from this perspective there may not have been an impact there. Fab Iceman may have just tried to defend too hard into that corner, which caused the tail to go out. Lost a position and a little bit of time. Back up to Murphy then in 3rd position. He's now 1 point, well, just over a second between him and Tijni. There is the Audi just out of the top of the shot, as Murphy wanders a little bit too wide. You don't want to be doing that too often. The game will penalise you for it. He's got himself 6/10 of a gap between himself and Van Olmen. It's not enough for him to just ignore him. It's enough to kind of concentrate more in front than behind. You don't really expect someone to just completely throw it on the inside of that kind of range. It can happen, so that's why you can't completely ignore them. But they're keeping in touch with the leaders at the moment. We're not seeing Jardier just run off into the distance we saw. Again, Jardier only has a second between himself and Tijni, but the gap 2nd to 3rd is the one that's increasing.
Yeah, it is indeed. So Tijni's doing a reasonable job. He's dropped a few tenths of a second, last lap 3 tenths slower, but still not losing too much on our race leader at the moment.
And to be fair, looking at the laps we've just had, for instance, Rick and Leo, I keep saying Leo, it's Leon, I'll get that right in a minute.
Yeah.
They're on a similar pace to actually what our front 2 have set, so the lap times are not so badly dispersed. We saw last week a Kota, the top 2, which were Popsu and Jardier, just disappeared and had alien-like lap times. We're not seeing quite the same thing as we did that time, although saying that, Jardier just got 3 tenths on Tijni there. But look at that, Rick was actually quicker than our race leader, so he's got...
Leon as well was even quick. Oh, sorry, no.
I did exactly the same thing.
He did a bad lap, actually, I should say there. So Leon's lost quite a bit of time to Rick on the previous lap.
There's pace in that Lambo.
Yeah, the pace in that Lambo is really impressive at this stage of the ride. And
he really is gaining on Mr. Van Olmen, and again, you as a driver would know if someone is catching up to you. Even at this early stage, you are still pushing. You know what time you want to set. You know what pace you've got in your own setup, and it can really distract you if you've got someone that is closing in on you and you are pushing like crazy to keep them there, and they're still gaining on you. It does play on your mind, and it can cause you to make a mistake. So we'll see how Mr. Van Olmen, who again, it's not even 3/4 of a second between the Lambo and the Ferrari. It's actually nice to have a non-Ferrari camera car, as I'm sure you'll agree, Vizzy. Not meaning that as a slight against your camera wear, but you know what I mean. It's nice to actually be looking at a battle that doesn't has something other than a Ferrari in it. Again, you can see a different choice of line there between Mr. Van Olmen and Murphy. Oh, Murphy's actually got himself a penalty. So does Popsu. They've both got time penalties on their name. Oh, Rick's gone very deep into that final turn, turn 11. He didn't get the apex, so I think he just outbraked himself a little bit. So if he'd gone for an earlier apex, then he may have had a better drive onto the... But look how he's reading that Ferrari in.
It's gaining a lot coming onto turn 1, obviously. It's not only car differences, it's setup differences as well that could play a part there with regards to downforce and straight line speed. But yeah, that might have been just a slipstream dragging him closer to the Ferrari. But close enough to make a move, but Rick's pace is still looking good.
Yeah,
might be eyeing up at least a podium. I don't know if he feels like the top two might be running away, but at least Murphy.
I mean, from this camera, you can actually see the leader. There he is. That is Jardier just going through that turn 5 now. So, I think he went for an early apex. What I think he was put off by was Mr. Van Ommen. Van Ommen didn't do anything wrong. I just don't think Rick anticipated that Van Ommen was going to go for the apex the way he did. So he may have outbraked himself a little bit, but I think he was trying to get the early apex, but there was a Ferrari in the way. That's put Leon right on his case, and last time Leon was one of the quickest men out there. So again, still pace on the outside of the podium positions. Actually, to be fair, first to about 12th are all running very, very similar pace in that 136 region.
Indeed, yeah, only a couple of anomalies here and there. That's an interesting play, just try to sneak your nose up the inside there, Leon. I think that's quite going to work out. We're getting a much better extra as a result of Leon just having to slow down so much on the curb. But yeah, as I said, we see a few cars dipping occasionally down into 38s and 37s, like was the case with Popsy and Zell on the previous lap. But then again, Popsy on this lap has gained it back again with a 36.5, while the two ahead of them have been battling a bit and losing time. So on that occasion, though, Jardier, the only man running in the 35s, and the gap is slowly still increasing, a second and a half now down to Tishney, and still it seems to be a regular theme that he's 0.3 of a second per lap slower at the moment.
But again, the last couple of laps were in the 36s for Jardier, so one mistake, and look how close the field is. I mean, not even 7 seconds is first to 7th. So if you have a major off, for instance here at turn 5, you could potentially lose a hell of a lot of positions. Rick still under a lot of pressure then by Leon, but he himself under a lot of pressure by Popsu. So Rick will probably, not if you do that though. I was going to say probably be able to start getting some distance between himself and the yellow Ferrari behind, but not if he starts wandering off the track like that. It does look like Rick seems to favour the going deeper into the corner to get a quicker exit. He seems to go for the later apex, whereas a lot of people, as he rather got caught out by Mr. Van Ommen, going for the earlier apex. This is more your defensive line, although saying that, Rick went for a really early apex there. I was probably defending from Leon. It's not really an opportunity to pass much at turn 9. If you're trying an inside manoeuvre there, you're going to have the outside for turn 10 where you're gaining speed. So it's not really going to gain you a great deal unless you're really going to try and brave it around the outside of 9, and you've got some really big cojones if you're going to try that.
That is definitely true. Yeah, but it is true to say, yeah, interesting lines from Rick, and it seems to be working out for him so far. Especially as we saw on the previous lap when his straight line speed was very impressive indeed. He has to look a little more behind than ahead, but he's got.
Rick's got himself a penalty on the board now.
Oh yes.
I bet that was him going wide at turn 6, and he's not relinquished enough time. Now the game will punish you if you wander off the road. If the game feels you have gone too far offline and gained an advantage of it, you are instructed by, inverted commas, race control. That's nothing to do with us, incidentally. That's not something we cover. And there he goes, 1 second apiece, which is exactly that kind of penalty. I think they're the only 3 drivers that have got a penalty on the board. Just have a quick scroll down. Typek and Mark Buensi both have penalties on the board as well. So yeah, those 1 second penalties are where the game has given the driver an instruction to relinquish the time, but the game feels you haven't relinquished enough time, so it adds a timed penalty onto your time.
Yeah. Just thought we'd have a quick little Yorkie check there. And there's a battle going on behind, but I'm not quite sure where Yorkie is at the moment. I'm not sure. No, that was the wrong Nissan. Who's the other Nissan? If you
good guess. Yeah, it is indeed Rigel. So that puts so there's Doc in 20.
Milo was battling there before, and Doc was the one who won out on that particular occasion, fighting for that final point position at the moment. 1 championship point on offer here. So
that puts our faithful Yorkie in 18th position. It's listed. 19th position because Poppleton's the Audi ahead, I believe. Yeah. I think that's Yorkie at the right-hand side of the shot. So Yorkie it says Rigel is in 19th, but there's the BMWs you can clearly see. And Rigel having to defend from Doc there. Again, Doc actually trying exactly the move that I said wouldn't work, but he's actually trying to cut on the inside of turn 11 Is he going to have to? It's going to be Brave. Can he get it done though? Rygaard could potentially have a greater drive onto the start-finish straight. It's going to be down to who's got the higher top end setup. Absolutely neck and neck. Looks like the Nissan had a greater drive out of turn 11. Doc's hanging on in there though. He's going to have another go on the inside of turn 1. Elite. Ooh, you saw he had a bit of a twitch there. So again, he had to kind of be sure he didn't tap the back of the Nissan. He's now got a good drive on the exit of turn 1. And he's going to have the outside of 2 if he can hang on to it. No, the Nissan had a decent drive. I think you might have tried to hang on for 3, but it's quite a narrow turn there. And that could potentially put him in to... could put Doc under pressure as well from the Ferrari behind. I think it's Rito, did we say? It is indeed Rito. He's having a look on the inside of that turn 7. But doesn't get it done. Oh, Rick's had trouble. Rick is down in 7th.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's lost a couple of positions somewhere. I just sort of looked up the board. And last time we left Rick, he was ahead of Mr. Van Ommen in 4th. So he's made a mistake somewhere, and that's precisely what I was saying before. One mistake will be very, very costly.
Yeah, and it has been for Rick. Let's see what his lap time is now, just to see exactly how much time he did lose. 38.5.
Yeah, 2.5 over everyone around him.
Yeah, exactly. And fastest on that lap actually was Tisney, getting a 10th back on Jardier, although the gap is now up to 2 seconds. But yeah, he's still hanging in there on the pace at least. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Jardier is either. I think we've seen a 35.7 from Jardier so far. So there's obviously pace he still hasn't deployed. To say that he's kind of not coasting, but yeah, if you're a driver in the front and you've got a bit of a gap, it's generally quite the done thing to just back off a little bit, make sure you're not pushing too hard. I don't know whether Jardier is backing off a great deal at the moment. I think he's actually still pressing on quite hard, despite the fact he's got a couple of seconds. I think he's going to want to build up a bit more than that.
Just jumping back down to this battle for 20, around 20th place, because that's where the action is at the moment in terms of the side by side going on.
Whoa, hard way!
Getting out of the shape ahead of Iceberg actually in that other Z4, and Noah's teammates, so he's getting a potential run here if he can get late on the brakes into the heavy braking zone, and he's trying, he's going for it. Hard way in actually forced to leave him room there on the apex and defending that position very well indeed. So a few close battles here towards the back of the points.
So remember, Yorkie is ahead of this particular battle, so unless of course Yorkie is spun, which actually he hasn't, he's gained another position, so it is these guys +1 at the moment, so Rito's actually in 20th. There is Yorkie, he's listed in last, but he's actually in 17th I think now. Yeah. Sometimes difficult, yeah, Poppleton's listed 18th, so it's him +1. So yeah, so beg your pardon, so Yorkie's actually in that 18th position, Poppleton 19th, and everyone is that position +1. So Yorkie's got, well there you go, that's the gap between himself and Noah, so that's probably give or take around 4 seconds or so. Oh, that's Relo under a lot of pressure by the M6 of Doc, now lining up for a move on the inside of turn 1 again. We saw him trying this before, it was against the Nissan, and Doc just noses ahead. He's going to have a good drive on that second turn. Doc has got the position at the moment. Is really going to try and hang on to the inside. He thought about it, but wisely bailed on that one. That position has gone to Doc in the M6. Doc then now off to chase. That's Poppleton in the Audi ahead. Back up towards the front then. 5th position, Leon has got Popsu all over his tail, which is never a statement anybody wants with someone like Popsu on your tail. And look at that, you've just seen going out the shot. That's Murphy under all sorts of pressure by Mr. Van Ommen. So a couple of decent battles going up here. This is for the tail end of the podium. It's a little Ginetta. I don't mean to sound disingenuous to the Ginetta, but it's a small car compared to the rest.
It's a really small car actually, yeah. Murphy's doing a really good job, because in previous seasons, both on Project Cars 2 and Project Cars 1, Ginetta has been a car that hasn't really been favoured, apart from if you're dangerous to Ginetta.
He won the first race. First race I ever commentated on was won by that man, Mr. Dangerous Ginetta. It was the season 4 finale in Road America.
And it's the first outing. I don't think we had a Ginetta last season. I might be wrong on that.
No,
Yeah,
I don't recall seeing a Ginetta.
So yeah, Murphy is really getting the best out of it at the moment, it seems.
He's only 1.5 down from Tidney, so that gap isn't growing by any particular degree. Looking at the laps last time around, they were within a tenth of one another. Jardier again getting another 3/10, but Mr. Van Orman was actually quicker than Jardier. So again, the leader's pace is not all that much bigger than those around him. Oh dear, looking at the lap times, Oblator in 15th has had a massive problem. Oh no, he must have been in the pits with the 2:37. Oblator has been in the pits at some stage. He's actually fighting with Nick Meadow, looking at the... Oh, there they are then. So Oblator in the Lamborghini. Ooh, that's close with the Nissan. See, my brain still said Nick Meadow and Lemon Lambo. It's gonna take a while for me to get that one out of my head. Oblator was very cautious coming into the break-ins over turn 7. Nick Meadow's not letting that go. He wants the inside of turn 9. Because turn 9 being such a long turn, that's why he wants the inside for it. He's just lost out. He's still there though. He's still... Oh, that's going to be very, very late. Can he slow it down? He can. That was brilliantly defended by Nick Meadow. And he has gained that 15th position. But the Lambo is still there and piling that pressure on.
Yeah, it must be a bit of a timing issue there, because there's no way Oblator did a 2:37 on the previous lap, because then he would have been leading the race by half minutes. If that was the case.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So I think he's actually on another lap and lost some time on that lap out, getting passed, I think, by Nick Meadow. 1:39 flat. So he'll be running along still, on for a few points though. It has to be said. Jumping back up to the battle towards the front, Popsu getting under pressure from that other Lamborghini. Rick trying to make his way back through after dropping down from 5th place a few laps ago.
Yeah, Popsu losing the back of Leon. They're probably having to defend from the Lamborghini of Rick. There they come into. It looks like the lights are flashing there. That's not what they're doing. That's just how the camera makes the lights look. It's caught me out a few times. I keep thinking that the drivers are flashing their lights at one another. They're not actually doing that. It's just how it looks on the camera view then. So they come into that heavy braking zone of turn 9, fairly equidistant at the moment, no real gains or losses there. And again, looking at the lap time, Jardier again just another 10th on Tisney. So just like last week at Kota, it's just those little increments each and every time. He's building his lead very, very slowly and gradually. We'll see if he's able to... Well, mind you, both Jardier and Tidney both getting 35.7. Van Orman 35.8. Popsy 35.9. So there's still a lot of pace at the front.
Yeah, and Rick 35.8 as well. So these front guys getting into the 35s, and there's no one outside of the top 7 that are able to do so.
Indeed, yeah.
There is forming. It's of course 6 seconds from Rick to Destin Pack, actually, who's gained a couple of positions since we last looked at him, up to 8th place. Now he started in 10th. That's a nice little increase from him. Iceman running in 9th at the moment. He's got a second or so back to Zal, who's holding on to the final top 10 position. Esterovich has dropped out of the top 10 now down to 11th place, and Andrex has gained 8 positions. He gained quite a few positions, I think, last week as well, and now he's gained 8 up to 12th position. And actually he's gone past Vernox, who isn't really making any progress.
He's not.
Maybe would have expected.
He's not like that M6, is he? He was a pretty, I'd say dominant force is not quite the word I was looking for, but he was, hence how he became champion for the last season. He was always near the top. He didn't necessarily run off at every opportunity, but he was always right there. But he seems to be really struggling. Long way to go in this season, of course. We're only round 2 of 10, so there will be other tracks that suit the M6 more. But I wonder if Vernox might be rethinking his choice of car somewhat.
Yes, indeed. As we now Murphy going for an early defense. Oh my goodness me! He's slowed down there. Has he gotten a slowdown penalty out of the final corner? Perhaps he's let Van Orman through into 3rd place, and he's
very
nearly
strange.
dropped back behind a NIS. That looked like a Nissan.
That is a Nissan. That's not Leon. No, so someone is either someone's pitted or someone is really out of place. Is that Rigel?
That must be right.
26, yeah.
A bit of damage going on there as well.
Yeah, so he had a 219, so he's been through the pits then. Unfortunately, we didn't see what had happened with Rigel there. We have actually lost a driver. We're back down to 27, but unfortunately, I have no idea who it is that we've lost, I'm afraid.
shame for Murphy, really. He was very much under pressure from Van Ommen, but to make a mistake where you have to slow down because you got off track, that's one of the more annoying ways to lose a position, I would say.
Yeah, indeed. 35.5 now by Jardier, so he's, as the cars are getting a little bit lighter lap on lap, as you can see with Nissan getting out of the way under blue flag conditions. So Jardier now increasing the pace little by little. He's got nearly 4 seconds gap now. But once again, Popsu under pressure by the Rainbow Lamborghini of Rick. Leon is not too far ahead. There he is, 1.2 ahead. So still a lot of battling going on, and we're already approaching halfway in this race.
Yep, just over half an hour left to go. And let's see if Popsu will feel the need to go defensive here from Rick. That time was on the previous one. Rick was 0.3 of a second quicker. Should have a bit of slipstream going on as well, but it's not going to be quite close enough into the race zone for turn 1 to make a move.
He looked very squirrely under braking. I don't know whether it was how it looked to you there, Fizzy, but it looked like that Lambo was just bouncing around everywhere. I've just realised who it is we've lost. It's Domino we have lost from this race. So I've just spotted his name in chat. As a shame to lose one so early on, but it's unfortunately the nature of the beast. On board then with Rick then as we come down to that turn 5. Oh, now again Rick, whether he outbraked himself or... I think he outbraked himself because he wasn't attempting to go for the apex there. So again, we've seen Rick go for that wider apex line. Oh, careful Popsu, it was close to going off track. And there you actually saw Popsu get very out of shape as well coming into the braking. Now it could be just how it looked from this camera, but again we're seeing several cars where the tail just does not want to behave itself under braking.
If any of these have started to struggle with tire temperatures. Obviously, as we mentioned at the start of the race, it's a really hot track. Obviously, we can't really know this from our role in the commentary box, but the drivers have all sorts of information about their car going on in the cockpits. So, there might be more going on than just driving and pushing and trying to catch or defend from other cars. It's also about managing engine temperatures, tire temperatures, and tire wear as well. I do think that these tires will all go to the end of the race unless you are extremely hard on them.
Unless you start spinning a lot, as this is going to be one of the ways that you will just completely muller the tires. Van Ommen cannot shake that little Janetta off his tail. Oh, now Van Ommen looked like he had a bit of a wider exit from that turn 4. Might this be an opportunity for Murphy? He is closing in a little bit. I don't think he's closing in quick enough. Lovely camera shot here. He has a look on the inside, but oops, that's a bit of a nudge.
It's a bit of Muller done a look, I think.
Yeah, okay, I think that caught more Murphy out than it did Van Ommen. But again, this could be down to tyres, exactly as you were saying earlier, Fizzy. If the tyres are getting too hot, you've got to be more gentle on them. Could be that Murphy's managed that a bit better and his tyres are in better shape than the Ferraris, although Mr. Van Ommen had a really good drive out of 7. That's going to keep the Janetta behind for that little bit longer. I'm just having a look at the timing gaps as well. Obviously Van Ommen and Murphy is the closest battle we have towards the tail end. That is Tidney, you just saw go out of the shot, and again that Lambo is almost pushing Popsu through that turn 9, so that battle's got a long way to go yet.
Yes indeed, battle for 3rd and battle for
6th
at the moment, and Leon kind of sitting in the middle, just hoping not to fall into the guys behind and instead hoping to catch the duo up ahead. He will be wanting Murphy to really attack Van Ommen here so that he can close that little gap and join in the action as well. Murphy taking a slightly wider, tighter line there into turn 1. So maybe showing in front of his car in the mirrors of the Ferrari a little bit. Just reminding him that he's there.
Absolutely,
sure
yeah.
Hasn't really forgotten, especially after the contact on the previous lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And Murphy is not really allowing Mr. Van Ommen an opportunity to just break away, because every time Van Ommen gets a decent drive from one corner, Murphy has an answer. Although again, Mr. Van Ommen felt the need to go for that really heavily defensive line into that turn 7. That is going to compromise him through these next couple of turns. Now Murphy's going to want an opportunity to try and throw it on the inside, and he opts not to. That actually was a little bit further back than I thought it was. Oh, again that Ferrari Oh, Murphy got too greedy on the apex. He saw the nose shoot over to the left. That's where the rear traction, the rear wheels have got more traction than the front, and he's had to steer into what he thought was going to be an oversteer moment. So that's cost him a couple of tenths, but we've already seen how Murphy can close that back down. The pace is so similar at the time. I mean, again, looking at the lap times, 35.8, 35.9, 36.5, 36.4, 35.9, 35.9, 35.6. That's first to seventh. They've just read out, and it's all so close. Even Vernex in 13th is in 36.8. Nick Mido in 15th, 36.5. So the pace is so close together. It's just Jardier's had the and then Jardier goes and sticks into 35.3.
I think that's the fastest lap of the race so far, actually.
Absolutely. I think he's had the luxury of clear track for the longest period of time, so he's been able to just do his usual things, build up that gap, lap and lap and lap and lap. But I'm not convinced he is backing off. I think he's pushing harder. The lap times are coming down because the cars are getting lighter.
Yeah, in case Murphy once again trying to get run of this straight in the break zone where they had a little contact before, but it's not going to be close enough once again. And it does look like, unfortunately for Leon's case, that he is more dropping back into the battle behind than he is catching the battle ahead, because Popster now is right on the back of him and has ended up in a Ferrari Lambo sandwich here, which is the worst sandwich to be in. I wouldn't mind one myself. But maybe he's a little bit uncomfortable for Popster at the moment. He, I imagine, wants to get out of it as quickly as possible and get up to the top 5.
Absolutely, then. So he knows the Lambo's a little bit too far back to try a ridiculous dive bomb maneuver, unless of course Rick outbrakes himself. Oh, now again you saw Popsu. He's going to cut back in now. You saw you see the drivers tend to stick to the middle of the track for the initial part of turn 9, but as it tightens up, okay, that's a strange place to see a stuck BMW. Is that Yorkie?
Goodness me. Okay, he's gone through. Interesting.
Yeah. Doc's fighting hard to keep Noah behind it. Was that Yorkie we just saw parked it?
Let's have a look.
Yep. Oh, we have lost Yorkie.
That's a shame. I think he was running in the points. Not quite sure where in the points he was towards.
17th, I think, when we left him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not too many points lost.
Oh, there he was again. He is actually still here, but he's got terrible lag going on at the moment. Oh. Yeah, okay. Doc was very... there he is again, though.
Let's just hope that...
Oh, Noah!
That's Noah's gone off as well. Let's just hope that the other cars aren't seeing the same, because that's going to be really off-putting for the cars behind Yorkie if they're seeing... unless
Yorkie's actually spaced himself out about 6 times around the track.
Oh, that's a good tactic.
So, Popsu then is under great pressure yet again by that Lamborghini. Still, whilst we are over halfway in the race, there's still a long way to go. And Rick really now in a position where he can just keep on hounding Popsu. You can see the effect it's having. It's already fallen away from Leon. That's about 7 tenths just under between Leon and Popsu, but only 2 between the Ferrari and the Lambo. Now Rick had an opportunity to throw it on the inside of turn 9, thought better of it. Ooh, don't get too greedy on that apex. Popsu managed to keep it nice and stable. Now as they come through that last turn 11, this is where Rick is going to want to take that wider line, get that later apex and get the drive out of that corner. He's not done too bad a job. So did Popsu, both of them taking a very similar line, but Rick is gaining. But is he gaining quick enough before the last turn? He's having a look. Is he going to throw it down the inside? That's 3 tenths. Nope, he decided better off that. And again, Leon feeling the need to go for that defensive line, whether he's struggling with time management or whether he thought Popsu was going to go for a move, is only he will know that. On board then with the Rainbow Lamborghini, and not too far ahead, you can actually see that battle between Murphy and Van Ommen still raging on for the last podium position. Along this straight, you can see that's actually, I think that's second. I think we did just see Tierney. Yep, there he goes. I think you did actually see the race leader at one point go through that turn before he disappeared. Hang on a minute.
He's actually been slowly caught by the guys behind, actually.
Yeah, looking at the last lap.
7 tenths slower than both Jardier up front and Van Ommen in third last time around. So Tierney, unfortunately for him, falling the wrong way at the moment, and might be getting a bit nervous about these guys behind.
Indeed, we just saw a Lamborghini there. Not entirely sure who that is. Either Boancy or Typek possibly. Zolbator. No, that wasn't him. Who else could it have been?
What's the other one?
No, not Texas Weeder. I've forgotten. I have a terrible memory at the best of times, so with so many drivers and cars to have to remember, it's difficult to keep track of that. It was Boency. It was Mark Boency. So he will be.
He's quite far down the road.
Yeah, he doesn't have to get out of the way of anybody. Just a little bit of damage on the front right of the Lambo, so he's been in an incident. Oh, hello! That's Leon's lost the position to Murphy, but right there's Popsu as well. Where's? Oh no! No! Beg your pardon. He was on the back of Van Almen, so the Janettas made a mistake somewhere or a slowdown. He's now got Leon all over his case, so this train's just gotten bigger.
Yes, indeed. It's a 4-away train now for a 4th place then, as Van Almen's been given a bit of a break now in that final podium position, and he's only 2.5 seconds off TJ now, so maybe looking to get 2nd rather than having to defend. Murphy's gone wide now as well. It's gone from bad to worse for Murphy here. Leon's gone turned into him, and Murphy's round. Luckily doesn't block Popsu or Rick, but he's going to have to reverse out of the wall there. Can he get that car going again before the next group comes? Luckily for him, there's quite a big gap, but there we go. There comes to Desert Pack in the Audi. Huge drama on after 40 minutes for Murphy. We haven't really seen a huge incident so far in the race, but there it came after 40 minutes of running. Murphy on the unfortunate end of that one, and that is dropping right out of the pack at the front.
Absolutely, that could well be a steward's inquiry later on. But oh dear, I think Murphy. We're talking about overheating tyres. I think that's what Murphy's really struggling with. You're seeing he's just nowhere near some of these apexes. And again, he was really deep into turn 5 rather, which put him at, was compromising really coming into 6. And yeah, he's in trouble if he can't cool those tyres down, which unfortunately means he's going slower, which is going to then put him into greater trouble further down the pack, unfortunately.
Yeah, was 12 seconds he lost as a result of that incident.
Ouch!
So he's right out of it. That's gonna hurt. So Desert back now as well. It's not running bad pace either. It's a Desert back, so maybe. No, indeed. He's gonna get extra motivated now by seeing Murphy right there ahead of him, and he hasn't seen a car ahead of him for quite a while. But let's jump up and see. So Leon then, despite that contact, if he does have any damage, it would have been on the left side, but it doesn't seem to be any visible scrapes on that Ferrari. So yeah, obviously you mentioned steward's inquiries might come into this, but for the time being we'll call him as being in 4th, even though I feel like he did turn in a little bit aggressively towards Murphy as it was side by side when that incident happened, but that's up for someone else to judge. Oh, there was Yorkie's car again on my screen anyway.
He's still listed in the race, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Of course, because he's lagging around, we've got absolutely no clue where he is. And at this point, he may not know where he is either. Well, this particular that was Rick getting a little bit deep there on the exit of turn 10. This 3 do seem to be spreading out a little bit. Further down the road, you can see Mr. Van Almen in the next yellow Ferrari. Is Tidgney in the shot? I think he was just coming around turn 1. Murphy still has 2 Desert back in that Audi right with him, and if Murphy didn't look like it was a major hit, but it's
another really slow lap.
Yeah, so again, I think this is coming down to tyres, because I don't think it was a great deal of damage as a result of the impact. But and again, look at that. Looks like he was really struggling to slow that Janetta down. We saw him with incredible pace early on, but I think he's just fried his tyres.
Yep. According to the chat, he eats front tyres, so that might be why he's falling back a little bit here. But at least for the first section of this lap, he's pulled back away a little from 2 Desert back. I'm going to have a look at a few other potential close battles further down the field. It's Andrex, if we can get a wider camera shot here. Yeah, he's got
Vernax
ahead, and he's got Vernax still behind, but I think that's been unchanged for quite a while. Nick Meadow is the second out of Oblicho, another potential battle, but again, that's been the same order for quite a few laps now. And then right at the bottom of the points once again, we got some battling. Both the Z4s in both. Iceberg is now ahead of Noah. I think they might have been the other way around earlier in the race. And Noah is very much under pressure from Hardway, in that Audi was having some problems earlier as well. But considering that Yorkie is somewhere ahead of these guys, unfortunately these guys are all battling for no points at the moment.
Well, we assume that Yorkie's ahead of these guys.
Yeah.
He was when he wasn't being a spectre around the around the circuit. Oh, voila! There he was, right on cue.
Oh, and as we've been watching this, Rick has actually gotten past Leon.
Oh, he has. What was Leon's last lap? Let's
Very
have a look at
mysterious.
that.
Yeah, just no lap. Yeah, mistake from him. 39.5.
Indeed. So he lost 3 seconds there, or 2.5 seconds at least, on Rick. So Rick not needing a second invitation on that one, taking that 5th position. He's got Popsy now as his next target. But again, with the pace being so similar, it's really difficult to close in, but 2 to actually do something about it.
I think Murphy's sorted his tyre temperatures now again, because on the previous lap he was the fastest out of everyone.
Oh wow, yeah, 35.8, yeah. So maybe he was trying to actually cool the tyres down so he could start pushing again, but he hasn't got long. He's 16 minutes remaining of the race. There's an hour-long race in this season. Gone for 1 hour racing duration as opposed to a finite lap count. Jardier still leading the way. He leads by 5.5 seconds over our poleman GTA Tijni. As Jardier comes towards the end of the lap, coming into turn 11 with absolutely no one in sight anywhere near him. So he's just hitting his marks and gathering more flies. There is Pops' teammate. He's just going out the shots. I can't remember who that is. Tijni. Only just shy of 2 seconds between himself and Mr. Van Ommen. In the next... Oh, that's Mark Buensi we identified, so therefore it's safe to assume then that is Typek that is ahead of Buensi. That's blue Ferrari. There is the other one, under all kinds of pressure by Rick. So Rick has had a Ferrari to deal with for most of the race, and this time he's closed right in on Popsy. What was the laps lasting around? Popsy 36.4, Rick 35.4. Wow, that...
What might well be the second fastest lap, at least that I've seen so far in this race. Only slower than Johnny's.
Yeah. Oh, now just looking at the timers again. Yep, Rick did have a decent drive out of that last turn, turn 4. He's going to get close, but not close enough. Oh goodness me, that's Leon. That's getting very. Was there
a little bit awkward?
I don't think it was quite impact there, but my God, that was close.
Yeah. It's all backed up because Rick got really close to Pops and then Leon got really close to Rick, but luckily they all managed to stay out of each other's way just about. And again, Rick a bit slow on the entry to the corners, but getting a decent exit once again. So, different line than the lines that we were talking about.
I think he's going to have a go into turn 9. He's within 2 tenths. No, he thought better on that one. So again, you can see he's gone for the wider apex. Oh, he did leave the inside open, but Leon would have I think Leon would have compromised his position if he had tried to do a pass. And look at that, because of the adjustment to his line, he already lost half a second on the I did it again on the Lamborghini.
The rainbow one.
The rainbow one, yeah. No lemon Lambos this season.
It's a bit of a shame, but I don't mind rainbows.
Popsy had a decent drive out of turn 11. It's going to be enough to keep the Lamborghini behind him this time. But as the race wears on, obviously the tyres, as we know, are an issue. Both Popsy and Rick have a time penalty on them as well, which could actually go to Leon's favour. It would do if it's just 1 second. Rick would want to get at least 1 second between himself and Leon, assuming that those penalties haven't increased. And there they are. Oh dear, Oblator with a 30-second penalty. They tend to get appealed post-race. So... yeah, it is only 1 or 2 seconds for these guys. Oh, that gets so close. It may not actually be as close as it looks to our to our camera, because of course we're looking at them from the nose backwards. But I bet it's still one of those moments where, as a driver, you're like, "Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Don't hit him!"
Don't lock the brakes! Don't lock the brakes!
Yeah, absolutely. Rick's had a really good drive out of 7. He is definitely going to go for a manoeuvre this time. He looks like he's going to go for the outside of 9. And no, whether he just thought twice about it or whether he wasn't confident about that particular manoeuvre, I thought he was going to go for that outside of that long turn, but decided against it. So he wants to try and stick with the Ferrari to get a good drive out of 11. Is he going to go for that wider apex as we've seen him do before? No, he's gone for a fairly early apex there. Let's try and get a better drive than the blue Ferrari. He's matched him. He's 2.5 tenths. Now he's going to start gaming in the slipstream. Now it's going to be a move into, or even before turn 1. Side by side, Popsy knows full well he's there and doesn't try to go for the defensive moves. He's going to try and string around the outside. Rick had to brake early to avoid hitting the blue Ferrari. Still side by side now as they come through 2. Can Rick get the move done before they go to 3? No, the blue Ferrari's still there. And well played by both of them. Rick, give the racing room. There's not a lot of room into the next turn. Oh, Rick!
The corner might be slower down than it is.
Oh my goodness me, that was brilliantly defended by Popsy. But now he's got the other Ferrari to deal with. And yeah, Rick's going to lose a lot of time as a result of it. Side by side now coming into turn 7. This is Leon and Popsy this time. And Leon going to try an outside maneuver. He's not alongside enough. He's going to have to slot back into position. Rick's right there and now. Can he do anything about it? No, not quite. As they now come around turn 6 and Popsy retains that 4th position.
Wow, it really came alive on this lap.
Yeah.
Battle for 4th place. Incredible scenes here. And Leon, worth mentioning, is the only one in this group without a penalty at the moment. So Popsy has a second, so if Leon can stay this close to him, he will get the position.
And all 3 of those drivers are in the 135s. 35.8 for Popsy, 35.4 for Leon. Great lap then. 35.5 for Rick as well. So their pace is still pretty damn good. It's still leaders' pace. It's not like the fighting doesn't seem to be slowing them down to a great degree at the moment.
It doesn't. And this time though, let's see how Popsy defends this one. This time it's Leon's turn to have a run coming down the main straight. 10 minutes and a bit to go in this race, and Leon is keen on the 4th place finish here to well, not quite match his debut result in 3rd, but getting close to it at least. So Rick also getting quite close to him in the braking zone behind. Worth mentioning now, they were closer before, but it's only a second now actually between Tidney and Mr. Van Ommen, so could potentially be a battle incoming for 2nd place as well. Wouldn't that be something?
Indeed, yeah. Just having a quick look further down the line, we've mentioned Andrax's stalwart consistency. He's up to 11th as well, so that's 9 positions. He's going from his starting position as Leon then tries an inside. Oh, is Rick going to try an inside then for the next corner? No, he thinks better of that one. We saw what happened with Murphy there not too long ago, and Leon is trying to basically, he's not trying to muscle his way through, but he is doing everything he can to force Popsy into a mistake. Good luck with that. Good luck with any of the elite drivers doing that. Of course, Popsy, we saw how good he was last season. We saw how good he was last week. Now Rick getting a decent run on Leon. Oh, Leon's gone for a very early apex! Oh, no! Oh, goodness me. Rick was all out of sorts. Is Rick gonna... Leon was a bit sideways there. Rick doesn't concede that position. Ooh, it's going to be a little bit 50-50, but I'm not entirely sure Rick could have avoided that. He was already hard to the inside as Leon then regains that 5th position now with a dent in the car. I don't really think Rick could have done a great deal. Wow, look how defensive Leon couldn't have gone any more to the inside without hitting the wall.
The 5th now. Pops has run away as a result of Leon's sideways moment, and that heavy defensive line has worked out for Leon. Yeah, well, if he's tried to go for it there, it would have been a Schumacher-Barrichello moment there, I think. But wow, Rick really putting the pressure on. Unfortunate, really, to be caught in the position he was when Leon had his sideways moment. He couldn't really go anywhere and just had to slow down for it. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll see if that one is brought forward to the stewards post-race. Again, look how the early apex that Leon went for, whether that's just his preferred line, which could be the case, it's not going to get a faster exit from that turn 5, but again, with such a short run between 5 and 6, I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. 2 Desert Pack in 7th in the Audi. He's got Murphy behind. Murphy was ahead of him last we saw, was he not?
Exactly.
Yeah, so Murphy has lost that position. The tail of that Audi did not want to stick. Again, we've seen that quite a few times. 2 Desert Pack could be losing his tyres at the moment. We are fast approaching just 7 minutes 40 left. There's Murphy now down in 8th position, trying to get that Ginetta back under control. But of course, the more you push, the more you start heating the tyres up again, and it just becomes a forever cat and mouse game with your own tyres, which is something magically Jardier has been able to control. But then, being out in front, he doesn't have to push as hard as the guys behind.
Yeah, we've of course seen a few cars having some minor knocks as well. Murphy being one of them, when he just tapped the wall ever so slightly earlier when he had his moment. And, you know, something like that could cause some damage to the radiator as well, which also could cause more engine damage. So
true.
Maybe some things like that kick in as well. But at the moment, it seems that Murphy, despite losing the position, has gotten his pace back up again at 35.6. He seems very inconsistent, it has to be said. He can pull in some really, really good lap times, but somehow, despite doing that, he loses positions.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can have great pace, but it's always going to be consistency that wins out. You know, you can be a one-lap hero all you like, but if you can't do that consistency over the race and throw it off track every other lap, it's always going to undo itself. There you can see Fab Iceman trying to close back in on this particular battle. He's got 2 seconds between himself and the back of the Ginetta. So two players are back under a lot of pressure at the moment from that Ginetta. Oh! Again, I think Murphy wasn't anticipating the Audi. Well, thought the Audi was going to go a bit quicker than that, but well avoided that. We avoided the impact, so good job from him to spot that one.
Indeed. So he's putting the pressure on, running wide again though through that corner, but managing to cut it back to the late apex, and we can get 7th place back now into the final section of the track. Can he get a good run onto the main straight? It seems like the battles are further ahead of this. Have spaced out more than 2 seconds between all the cars now, so I'm going to stay with this for now. But Murphy didn't have quite the exit he needed there to get a run.
He lost 3 tenths.
Yeah, I'm going to jump down to this, because this is now the closest battle on track, I believe.
These two have been.
But Vernox is very close.
Yeah, these two have been at very, very close to one another for quite a long time now. Vernox, as mentioned before, is our Season 8 champion from... He was in a Ferrari last time around. Has opted the M6. Hasn't been the start of the season that he would have liked. But he continues to press on. He had a decent result last time in Kota. It was 5th?
Yeah.
5th position, did we say? Yeah. But I'm not entirely sure he's going to be facing the same kind of result here with less than 5 minutes to go now of this race here in Dubai. Oh, Vernox had to get out of that. He did not want to continue that line for fear of slamming into the back of the red and white M6 of Andrex. 3.7 between him and the Audi of Nesterovic. You just heard Nesterovic actually going past the camera. Andrex, last time around, what was he? 36.6, which again, he's not too far off leader's pace. So most people have been in that, there or thereabouts as far as lap times are concerned. We haven't seen a massive gap top to bottom.
That's true, yeah. And it's not many times we see drivers in the 35s at this stage of the race, but still a few drivers occasionally dipping in there. The top 2 on the previous laps, were in the 35. So Tisney has been set in 2nd place, has managed to stabilise the gap to Van Omen. He was dropping back towards him, but now that gap has stabilised at about 2 seconds. So unless he makes a mistake, he probably should have 2nd place in the bag with 4 minutes to go in the race, which should be about 4 laps, I would have thought, 3-4 laps.
Give or take, yeah.
And Vernox once again close enough to Andrex, so he might be quite frustrated in that one.
It's certainly keeping Andrex's defensive driving skills up to snuff. That's certainly true.
Those skills.
Oh yes, absolutely he does. I had the honour of being his teammate in the Ginetta G40 League we had a couple of months ago, and I couldn't keep up with him in the slightest. But I can certainly vouch for how well this man, how his defensive driving is some of the best in the league. And look at that, he's already opened up a couple of tenths over Vernox in just a couple of corners. But looked like Vernox went for a bit of a wider entry into that last turn, turn 7. Again, watching the timing, you're starting to see that time coming down again. Andrex won't be under too much danger coming into turn 9. goes to the middle of the track, then cuts back in. Well, he didn't cut back in too much. That's going to allow Vernux to come back at him a little bit. And again, there you go. You can see the timings now down to 3.5 tenths. Again, it looks so close from this camera angle. It's probably not as bad as we think it is. But, it's still one of those moments where you just... Oh, actually, Murphy, he's lost 8th, 142 for the Ginetta. He's had another issue, so his time management is not going well, I think.
It's not indeed. And the next once again is not close enough. So let's see, Murphy might even be dropping down towards the Stervis now in the second between those two. A quick Yorkie watch here, so that's not going to work because it's by himself, but at least he sorted his connection out.
Can't tell which M6 that is ahead, or indeed which Audi that is behind.
Doc, I think it was. Somehow I spotted that. So he's actually 18th at the moment, on for 3 points, I believe.
Yeah, good spots, sir. Good spots. And I think that was where, before Andrex had his very bizarre lag incident, I think that was pretty much the position we left him in. Didn't he? In second, still has 2 seconds between himself and Mr. Van Ormen behind. And as we come around, it's just over a minute to go. So Jardier is 10 seconds down the road. Yeah, absolutely. That's just what I was thinking about. It's the one and only Porsche Tex Guido we've just heard in the background. So Jardier once again has been in a league of one. He can pretty much ignore the fact that he has top gear. He did a 35.3 last time around. I'll be stunned if Jardier doesn't have the fastest lap of this one. And there you see, that's Mr. Hardway in the Hot Wheels liveried Audi. So that is, I assume, the Iceman. No, who's that going to be ahead of him? Oh, Iceberg, yes, in the Z4. They're not going to pose too much of a problem. Around turn 7.
Jardier probably not going to. Well, I don't think he'll catch that gap before the end of the lap. So, anyway, even if they did, probably wouldn't bother.
Yeah, I shouldn't think they would do anything silly. But Jardier, I'm sure, doesn't feel compelled to get involved in that one. Into the long bank turn 9 for the final time. Throw it to the right. Checker flag is now out. Very happy time then for the yellow Ferrari. Around the final turn. Your winner then here at Dubai. 2 in a row then for the yellow Ferrari. Big wheel, flash of the lights. It is Jardier.
Well done to him, a really dominant drive. Once again, as Tidley looks like he's in a battle for second, but that is actually one of the lap Z4s just behind him. So Tidley is going to come home in second place. Also seems very happy with that. Impressive in that Audi. Van Ormen in his first podium in the league in the 3rd place. Pops are going to come around for P4 just ahead of Leon. He dropped a little bit back towards the end. Rick as well, after that little contact with Leon. He dropped even further back and ends up in 6th place, but that's way better than 27th as he finished in the season opener. To Desert Pack also seems very pleased with a 7th place, which is also way higher than where he finished in the first race. Iceman in 8th, in a that was Murphy 9th, in a Sterovich, and then a Comet thick and faster. Can't even keep up, and Andrex will win the battle with the reigning champion Vernux for 11th.
Scarazal, he's coming around the final turn then. 13th position for him. He could well have wanted for higher, but oh, that's a very ugly looking Nissan for Nick Meadow. As MTZ comes across the line in the Audi, just ahead for 14th. Nick Meadow 15. There's Oblator in the next Lamborghini with Doc very shortly in tow. Another couple of laps and Doc may have claimed that position. There's Poppleton in 18th. I think Yorkie's actually already ahead of this too. So Yorkie will be 18. Poppleton comes across the line in 19th place in the Audi. There's Relo in the Ferrari for 20th. And there's Iceberg in the green Z4. His teammates already crossed the line. Hardway in the Audi. And that is everybody. Everyone else, I believe, was a lap down. So that is your final classification.
Indeed. Unfortunately, I am unable to skip away from this at the moment.
Nope, you can only select Yorkie and Rigel by the look at the board.
Yeah, I can't even select it. There we go. So
we have many Yorkies.
Yeah, that's a lot of Yorkies. Yorkie has taken over the session, so he is now the winner and the 2nd place holder and the 3rd place.
All 3 spots occupied by Yorkie. There we go.
official results. Oh, actually, let's see now. I don't think anyone was really close enough to... Oh, no, actually, Leon jumps Popsy because of the penalty, I think.
Oh, yes. Yes. Leon was indeed in 4th position. Yeah, because the gap became just 1/10 in Leon's favour, and there was a 2-second penalty. So, yeah, and Popsy did indeed lose that 4th position in the blue Ferrari. So 35.0 for Jardier was the fastest lap. But again, top to bottom is, 37.4.
Everyone in the top 10 were in the 35s at some points.
So absolutely impressive stuff throughout.
Interestingly, Mark Buwenza down in 23rd is the only one outside the top 10 who had the 35 lap time. So that's interesting. Maybe it pitted and taken some fresh tires and gone for a fast one.
Well, why not? I suppose will be the thought there. As the image I just brought up is the championship standings previously. That will of course be updated for the race results we've just had.
It's always hard for us to work out, I guess, the standings on the fly. All we know is that Jardier is definitely going to be extending his gap. That he had ahead of Popsu. I think Tidney might now be jumping up to 2nd place. Maybe Leon as well. I think Tidney ahead of Leon.
We have a lot of people that want to come and have a word with us.
Just to mention the standings, obviously, for those of you watching, if you go on the AOR website, on the results section of the site, the standings will be updated there within a day or so. So, for those who are interested, head over there and check it out later.
Right, let's have a word with a couple of people, shall we? I think the first one we are going to grab is going to be this man, our race winner, Jardier, 2 in a row. So that's certainly one way to stamp your authority on the league. Jardier, how was that race for you?
Yo, guys! Thank you. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
We see a bit of a trend, or I say 2-race trend with yourself. That once you've gotten yourself at the front, it always seems to be kind of that 3/10 gap, 2/10 gap that you seem to open up. Is that kind of the plan, or do you just kind of floor it and hope?
I think it's a bit of a plan. I would say I was really hoping that. I was really surprised that the Tidney was that fast in the qualifying. I actually knew that Audi will be fast. I was a little surprised that he was 2/10 of a second faster in qualifying. I was kind of hoping in a race I would be able to keep up with him, and after first lap I knew I'm gonna overtake him as soon as possible and just pull away a little bit. And when I got 1 second gap, I was really feeling comfortable, and I was just pulling away and trying to avoid any mistakes and just doing my business.
Nicely done. Right, just want to rattle through the interviews we're going to do, so I'm just going to grab people over from the channel, basically grabbing our podium 3. So Tidney, then, a great effort for yourself to get 2nd. Great effort to get pole first off, and it seems like you couldn't quite hang on to the pace of Jardier, but from your perspective, how was that race for you?
It was pretty good. I was just trying to be the top non-Ferrari in that, because the Audi in the middle of the race was terrible. It got loads of understeer and horrible, and but even so, I tried to hold Jardier for a little while until he made the move, and then I was like, right, I'll just stay 2nd and focus on trying to keep the pace up.
Great stuff. We saw you were really trying your best to hang on to Jardier, particularly at the beginning, and it was looking quite good, but then as we sort of identified from Jardier, he seems to have that habit of kind of 2/10, 3/10, 1/10. Is that something that kind of plays on your mind? You're pushing as hard as you can, you're still seeing that gap open, or do you just kind of focus on what you're doing and let the times figure themselves out?
I kind of knew where my pace was, so initially I was getting a bit frustrated, and then I looked down at my lap times. I was like, oh, hang on, this is my race pace I expected. So I was sort of like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. The gap behind, because Murphy and Mr. Van Omen were fighting, so I was hoping to just get that gap as high as possible, so that at least if I had a problem, I could at least stay in 2nd.
Great stuff. And mentioning Mr. Van Omen, a lovely podium for you. How's it feel for you?
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Yeah, just very happy. I always feel that I have pace or something, but it never results in anything real. But this is great, so I'm really happy for that.
What we were seeing lap time wise was that there really wasn't much of a lap time spread, even top to bottom, and a lot of the time, particularly sort of in the top 10, it wasn't always Jardier with the quickest lap. Obviously, consistency played a big part of it, but we were seeing some great laps throughout the period. So, were you confident on your race pace coming into this, or again were you just kind of taking what came towards you?
No, I actually was pretty confident because I've been practicing. I did like 35 mid, 35 lows actually in the practice, but then obviously you're in the lead, for example, or driving alone. So I never really had the real race pace, but it's all because of dirty air. So at some point I think I came into 1 second of Ticheney. And then the dirty air was so bad, so I just had to give it up. I was just settling for third, and I was happy with that.
Sure thing. Any questions on your side, Fizzy?
Not really. I think covered everything, but just really well done to everyone who finished at the podium. Really impressive drivers.
Great stuff. I think we are out of time then, so thank you very much for those that have watched us live. It's always a great pleasure to have you along with us. Thank you very much to our drivers for putting on such a great spectacle. It's always a great pleasure to commentate on you. Thank you very much, Fizzy, for being the expert cameraman and being alongside me in the commentary box. Always a great honour and a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, likewise, and thanks to everyone who's been watching, following this race. And what track do we have next week again?
I don't have the calendar handy, so let me just quickly double check that.
Quick preview of what's going to happen. It's always good.
Whatever it is, I look forward to it.
Oh, it is a Red Bull Ring. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That's one of my favourite tracks.
Wow,
Red
yes.
Bull Ring, yes. First time on Project Cars, of course, with LA in the GT3 leagues, as it makes its debut on this game.
Great stuff. And we will see you back here next time for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.